What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of Pistons Daily, where you can find daily content covering all things Detroit Pistons, Monday through Friday. As always, I am your host. My name is Kyle Garrison. I'm over on Twitter at Kyle Garrison2, where I talk all things Detroit sports. So head over there, give me comments, questions, concerns, episode ideas. I'd love to hear from all you guys. Also, shout out to everyone who tunes in every single day. We are on the road to 2,000 subscribers, so if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way to help support the channel. With that being said, let's jump into a Friday edition of Pistons Daily. So first things first, our skill of the day. And I just want to talk about Jaden Ivey as a secondary ball handler and a secondary creator next to Cade Cunningham. And it wasn't great last year. He thrived off ball, but was not great on ball. But if you look at his rookie year, when Cade Cunningham was hurt, he was actually pretty solid despite playing alongside Killian Hayes. And his usage rate was in the 27.7, or his usage rate was 27.7%, and was in the 87th percentile. And you look at his assist percentage, it was at 27%, which is very, very high, especially for a rookie. But those assist numbers have dropped significantly. Last year, he was at 20.5%, which was in the 57th percentile compared to the 90th percentile when he was a rookie. And the usage rate was pretty similar. He was at 26.8 usage rate compared to 27.7 his rookie year, and the assist numbers were much lower than they were when he was a primary ball handler. Clearly, they didn't want Killian Hayes on the court as much as possible because, well, he wasn't very good. So Jaden Ivey had to take over that role at times, and he was very, very solid. So I know, obviously, he hasn't been great in the past 2 years when it comes to just being a great ball handler and facilitator, but the proof is there. We have a proof of concept that it works. His rookie year, he was very, very good, and I think the front office and coaching staff are going to try and cut down on Cade Cunningham's turnovers, and by doing that, you have to have some possessions where Jaden Ivey is that primary ball handler and Cade Cunningham is more off ball. So excited for Jaden Ivey to get that opportunity as a primary ball handler and facilitator, especially with that second unit. And I do think if we see him as a mid to upper 20% in assist percentage, you're going to be very comfortable about extending him, having him as that secondary scorer next to Cade Cunningham in the backcourt and riding with that for the future. So I'm excited to see what Jaden Ivey can do this year. And again, I hope that he can get back to where he was as a rookie. I don't think it'll be as high as 27%, but anywhere from 23 to 25% is going to be very, very encouraging going into the future, because obviously this year, the Pistons are looking for proof of concept that this backcourt is legit and that this backcourt can thrive together going forward. And in order to see that, Jaden Ivey does need to step in a bigger role as a passer and as a ball handler. And I do think that we're going to see him improve those numbers. The usage rate is going to stay pretty similar, around 26%. But those assist numbers, the assist numbers compared to his usage rate will also increase. And we won't just see him be a off-ball primary scorer and somebody who actually thrives on ball and off ball. Would be very, very nice heading into the Pistons' future. But moving on, Grant Hughes over at Bleacher Report dropped his top 5 young cores in the NBA, and I've been waiting all offseason for a list like this just because the Pistons have been getting disrespected with their young core. I don't think people realize just how young the Pistons are, so I'm glad that Grant Hughes had them in his top 5. I'll just read you the list. He had the Magic at 5, Pistons at 4, Spurs at 3, Rockets at 2, Thunder at 1, and he writes for the Pistons, Cunningham finished 7th in MVP voting last season and was the primary offensive force on a Detroit Pistons team that tripled its win total. He and the Pistons also gave the New York Knicks a real fight in the first round of the playoffs. That Cunningham managed all that while surrounded by a young supporting cast that still had major shortcomings speaks to his status as one of the top under 25 players in the NBA. That's not to say the rest of the Pistons' youth core is underwhelming. It's just that all of them come with at least one potential question mark. Thompson is an elite defender who shoots just 19.8% from deep for his career. Holland comes with similar shooting uncertainties. Ivey appeared to break out early last season, averaging 17.6 points and hitting 40.9% of his threes, but he logged just 30 games before injury shelved him for the year. Duren must improve in space defensively, and Stewart's offensive role is murky if he isn't going to be a reliable perimeter shooter. Together, that group is still among the most intriguing around, largely because one or two of them will probably address their aforementioned weaknesses and push towards stardom. So, Pistons coming in at 4, and they are above the Magic. I've talked a lot about how I think it's kind of disrespectful that the Magic have been jumping the Pistons in these power rankings and these future rankings and these offseason rankings When last year the Pistons were a better team, they were younger, and they didn't have nearly as many holes as the Magic did. And again, the Magic addressed some of those holes, adding a guy like Desmond Bane. But at the end of the day, Cade Cunningham is still the best player out of those two teams. And if you surround Cade Cunningham with the right talent and the right skill sets of players, they're going to be really good. And that was the case last year. And there's not a ton of roster turnover. Obviously, some of the vets left. You brought in some new vets. But when it comes to your 6 young core players, your 6 first-round picks, the Pistons brought all of them back. And 2 of them weren't even healthy in the playoffs last year. And they're going to be healthy again this year. So very, very encouraging. Very, very excited just for this young core overall. And obviously, the Spurs and the Rockets and the Thunder all have very, very solid young cores in their own rights. But I do think that the Pistons have the second best young core in the NBA, only behind the Oklahoma City Thunder. But again, we'll have to see that kind of play out throughout the year. And if we see that expected improvement from guys like Ron Holland and Asar Thompson and Jalen Duren and Jaden Ivey, then I do think we're going to be talking about the Pistons as a top 2 young core in the NBA and a potential championship contender in the near future. So very, very excited just to see what the Pistons young core looks like this year, and kind of if Trajan Langdon wasn't blowing smoke and if he actually truly believes that we didn't need to add anybody huge in the offseason. All we needed to do was let our young core continue to develop together, and that's where you're going to see those additions of different skills is within the young core that you already have. But let me know in the comments down below if you think the Pistons have a top 5 young core in the league and just what the Pistons need to do this year to keep moving up that list. But next topic, it is Cade Cunningham's 24th birthday. I'm recording this on Thursday, September 25th. You guys will be seeing this on Friday, a day after Cade's birthday. But it is his 24th birthday, and I just wanted to give some of my favorite moments that Cade has brought to the Pistons over the last few years. I would say that he is my favorite Piston of all time. Isaiah Thomas is up there, but I've watched Cade Cunningham play. I never watched Isaiah Thomas, obviously, and Cade Cunningham is my favorite player that has ever come through this Pistons organization. And he's the same age as me, which is pretty cool as well. We were the same graduating high school class. We were the same freshman class in college as well. Both came in during COVID. So I always just have loved Cade, even when he wasn't on the Pistons. And then it was just the icing on the cake when they drafted him. He's just been such an unbelievable player. He's brought them so many great moments. So I just wanted to talk about 3 of them. Obviously, there's been so many, but just 3 that stood out right away when I was making this list. 1, game winner versus Miami Heat last year. His first true buzzer beater 3-pointer. We've seen some game-winning layups and whatnot with him, but his first real 3-point buzzer beater. And Miami was fighting for their play-in lives. The Pistons were pushing to kind of escape that play-in. They get a massive win in Miami, and walking down the court, Cade shows the camera the Detroit on his chest. And that was kind of the moment I officially knew that the Pistons were back. They fielded a competitive team. They were young, they were exciting, they gave Pistons fans a reason to believe, they showed insane improvement from year to year, and that was really what kind of gave me hope again in this Pistons franchise, was that shot, was the fact that he was so unbelievably excited to hit that shot, and it was just a very cool moment. So that was definitely my favorite Cade moment so far in his career. I'm sure that he will top that at some point, but as of right now, just an unbelievable moment. And then number 2, I just love this. I remember watching this live. When he broke Jalen Green in his very first Summer League game, when he hit him with that tween behind the back, hit the 3 in his face, I just knew right then and there that Jalen Green would never be close to as good of a player as Cade Cunningham in this league. And then I think in that moment, both him, Cade Cunningham, and Jalen Green both realized that as well. And that was kind of the beginning of the end for Jalen Green. Obviously, he's been a solid scorer. The efficiency's not great. The passing's not great. The defense is horrible. There's a reason that the Rockets traded him for a 37-year-old Kevin Durant. He didn't have a ton of trade value, a decent amount, and I'm sure he'll do fine in Phoenix, but Cade is generational. Jalen Green's nowhere close to him. And that was just very, very fun to see right away in the G League, or in the Summer League, when we knew that Cade and Jalen Green already had beef. He kind of shut those up real quick, and that was very, very fun. And then the last moment, another Rockets moment, when he split the Alperen Sengun in a Men-Thompson double team, drove down, dunked it, and then proceeded to yell on all y'all mother explicitive. That was just unbelievable. I could not stop watching that video when it came out. I just absolutely love it. He splits the double team. He dunks on 3 different Rockets defenders who were one of the best defensive teams in the NBA last year. And he gets vocal about it. And I know Cade's a pretty calm player out there, But when he shows that emotion, it just absolutely fires me up. And I love that he did that. I love when he gets fired up when he plays the Rockets. He still has something to prove. Even though Jalen Green's not on the team anymore, I'm sure he will still try and, beat the crap out of the Rockets like he really has done in his career so far. So really just love that he showed that emotion there, and the camera or the audio picked it up on the broadcast as well. So shout out Cade Cunningham. Shout out just those 3 moments. And there's been so many more. I mean, you could speak to the block against the Hawks, the game-winning block, the block against Alperen Sengun, another Rockets moment, the dunk on Zeke Naji, the dunk on Derek White, the dunk on Cat in the playoffs. There's been so many unbelievable moments, but just 3 that come to mind right away. So happy birthday, Cade. Happy 24th. Let's make it the best year yet. Why not? But last topic before we end the show, new segment that I decided to do yesterday, and these are season expectations. And I think today's expectation is Jalen Duren improving defensively. And we know that Jalen Duren can be an elite offensive player in this league, an elite lob threat, a great rebounder, but the defense has yet to show that significant improvement that I think that a lot of Pistons fans want to see from him. And I think last year there were times where Jalen Duren was basically unplayable on defense, especially in the first half of the season when Asar Thompson was out. There was a lot of times where you had to put Isaiah Stewart in there because Jalen Duren was just a liability. His off-ball defense was atrocious. He couldn't protect the rim whatsoever, and there was definitely some question marks surrounding his ability defensively. But again, Asar Thompson comes back. JD improves tenfold from what he was beginning of the year. There was still a ton of room for improvement, but I think with a full year next to Asar Thompson, there is no reason he should not become a very solid rim protector and somebody that just isn't a complete liability when he switches on a guard like we've kind of seen with Isaiah Stewart. So there's a lot of improvement to happen, and I think that we will start to see that, and I think that should be an expectation for a lot of Pistons fans going into the year because, again, if you're going to have a very, very solid offensive center who you only can play 25 minutes a night, I think there's going to be some gripes amongst the fan base. And I love what Isaiah Stewart brings, and if he is a 23-minute-a-night guy, that's fine, but I would much rather have him be a 15-minute-a-night guy. I want to see Jalen Duren play 30-plus minutes because he can be a guy who really helps this team and makes this team a championship contender. And again, we're just going to have to see him become a much improved defensive player from what we've seen the past 3 years. And again, we'll reiterate it, he was very solid in the second half last year. He was even pretty good in the playoffs as well. But again, he couldn't really guard Karl-Anthony Towns at times. That's why we saw Tobias Harris match up against him. So we need that reassurance that when we're playing against the, let's say, the Miles Turner in the Bucks or Karl-Anthony Towns in the Knicks or some of these elite level centers in the Eastern Conference, we need to know that Jalen Duren can be out there at times, and Isaiah Stewart can come and relieve him, but we want to know that Jalen Duren is a solidified starter on this team. And if he's playing well on both ends of the floor, he's going to continue to play, and hopefully he can start to stay out of foul trouble. But I do think that these are all expectations that we should have as a fan base for Jalen Duren going into this year. But let me know in the comments if you expect Jalen Duren to improve on defense, and just if you think that will help him secure an extension because he is due for one. As of right now, he could be extended before you guys even see this. He could be extended as soon as right now. So he's got a lot to prove this year, and the defensive side of the ball is really where I think a lot of that extra money that he would get on top of what he's already probably going to get is going to be, again, defensively. So that's really all I've got for you guys today on a Friday edition of Pistons Daily. As always, like, subscribe, comment, turn on post notifications, and follow me on Twitter at Kyle Garrison2. Also, head over to Spotify, leave a 5-star review and a follow if you can. Once again, thank you all so much for tuning in every single day. With that being said, that is going to do it here for episode 68 of Pistons Daily, and I will catch you all next time.